What is up, YouTube? Hope you guys having a wonderful day. I wanted to share a personal story about getting out my comfort zone and finally taking the initiative to try to talk to a girl that I found really attractive. But just to save you some time, it didn't really go the way how I planned, and I just had to learn, you could say, the hard way, because I've heard it in the past within being stuck in this like red pill manosphere like content. I just didn't want to accept the truth until I took the experience and suffering and said to myself, if it doesn't go the way how it is, then I'm just going to accept it the way how it is. So let's get right to it. So about a couple months ago, there was this girl at my job, right? And I could already tell that, she was just a young girl that, obviously didn't belong in the work environment where I was at. So from the looks of it, I was like, okay, let me make my move. Because like, just to throw a spoiler out there, I was actually supposed to meet this girl a while back. I say about 2 years ago. But unfortunately, I was just not in the right mind space to take the initiative and talk to her because of the fact that I didn't go to the party, which was my coworker's birthday party, but it's her brother-in-law who was having the party that invited me to that party. I didn't go. Well, it's really I didn't want to go. It's because of the fact that it just happened to be that following week right before the party that I had got suspended from my job over something really petty, which, excuse me, I soon found out that they suspended me for nothing just so that way they can put me in a predicament where I either quit or I stay working a miserable job. Just to get that out the way. But yeah, she was already working in my department, but she was working on a different shift. So about 2 months ago, she had moved to my department on the same shift. And from what I've heard, she had moved to second shift due to the fact that, like she had a sibling who's working on second shift also. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And then off the bat, like I already knew from being around her and being around her and talking to her, already knew that she already liked me. But she was a very shy, introverted, timid woman. And it just happens to be that every grown man in that facility, was just like attracted to her like a light to a moth. Like I seen a grown man. I'm just gonna say it like this. I seen a grown man get on his knees and ask her, like, in other words, like he sat there and waited for her to validate him in the words of, hey, how you doing? This grown ass man, bro. And he has 2 kids, no wife in the picture. And I'm sitting there thinking, this pathetic dude, bro. This pathetic dude. But in other words, and I digress. This woman, I knew off the bat that we would really be a really good couple because of the fact that, I mean, she had a little autism to her, right? And when I say autism, I mean like she liked to collect things. She liked animals. She liked things that, reminded her of her childhood in a way to where, it made her realize that she didn't forget where, who she was as a person. Because let's just be honest, being an adult, as you grow up, you start to leave things behind as a child. And the more and more leave those behind, the more and more you slowly start to succumb to what reality is. And reality is very depressing. It's very depressing. And you just don't want to, keep on going. So, yeah, so I started to notice like a lot of things that I see very similar to, the way how I think and feel about certain things. And the biggest turn on was for me was the fact that I noticed that she was she was into the same cartoons I was watching as a young kid. SpongeBob SquarePants, Cartoon Network. Um, Courage the Cowardly Dog, all that funny cartoon stuff that if you watch now in your mid 20s or early 30s, it'd just be hilarious to watch. Because you were so innocent at the time, you couldn't tell what was happening or what was going on. So get that out the way. But yeah, I one day, well, not one day, just like most people that I've heard, whenever they're trying to like not ruin things between an individual they like, they really keep quiet and try to keep their cool. Like as soon as I met her, right, I could already tell she was like very shy. She couldn't look me in the eyes, and I was very intimidating to her. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But it just happened to be this one day, right? She was right beside me, and I was at my workstation, and I noticed that she was eyeballing the work that I was doing, and me being a lazy person, I didn't feel like doing it. So I was like, well, here you go. Here's my paperwork, and I'm out. I gave it to her, and I walked out. The next day, she just starts talking to me out the blue. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Then she starts reciprocating my energy, keeps going and going. Then after maybe I say about 2 or 3 weeks, we start playing this cat and mouse game, right? And if you guys aren't familiar about this cat and mouse game, it's essentially where you guys are like flirting or having a good time with each other's company, but you're not really trying to take the initiative to take it to the next step, which is the next step is like hanging out outside the workplace or wherever you're at, where you guys have alone time essentially. So, we're just playing this cat and mouse game. And I was like, bro, I don't know anything about this woman except what I see and what I see from what she told me of her name, right? I don't know nothing. I do know, but I don't know. So I take the initiative one day, right? I go up to her on break and, like I asked her like, hey, you doing anything this weekend? Or I didn't really say it like that, but I was like, are you free this weekend? And there's like, I say a 2-second pause, right? And the whole time, let me just demonstrate. This is gonna be her phone, right? The whole time, she's got her cell phone, right? This is her. I'm gonna play her while I'm asking her, are you free this weekend? Her phone is like right here, and you can only see like half of her face while she's talking to me. And the whole time I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I don't even care, but it's just like whatever. I just want to see if she's gonna say yes or no. Well, she told me she was busy this weekend and I didn't get no follow-up, right? So I was like, cool, no worries. I got up and walked away. It was like, no worries. And then since then, I've started to notice she's still trying to play these like cat and mouse games with me. Like I remember we went to the break room as like a team meeting, right? And this woman didn't take the initiative to sit in front of me. She only sat in front of me because there was an open seat. But once she seen me, she started staring at me for like a good 3 minutes. And I'm not talking about glance. Like I'm talking about just straight staring at me. Like off some weirdo stuff. And me being awkward, I just stare in the corner or I'm looking at my team lead because I don't want to look at this woman. Because I already know, and I think she knows that I know that the games are over. Because at this point, I've already accepted the fact that if she don't want to hang out with me, but she like to play these mind games with me, then this woman just likes the idea of me as a person, but don't want to get to know me as a person. So in other words, I'm entertainment. I just make her feel good by talking to her or just even me showing up. So there's no reason for me to reciprocate or do anything except just mind my own business and move on. And this is the biggest problem about a lot of simps nowadays because they're really the ones who ruin it for every man who comes across this woman. Because a simp will keep trying to feed this hope, assuming that things will change, but things will not change if she didn't want to hang out with you in the first place? And I'm sorry, I'm just very passionate about this, right? So present day, I still have to deal with the rejection, even though I wasn't really rejected if you think about it. And I already know when I go back to work next week, this woman's gonna be, looking at me, trying to see if I still am attracted to her. And I'm just already like, all right, bro, I'm over it. It's whatever. And so I'm just making this video just to talk about the fact that if a woman don't want to hang out with you outside of the interaction you were, having with the woman, and you can clearly see she's attracted to you, because I forgot to mention also, I'd also see this woman in my peripheral staring at me and smiling as if like I'm like a celebrity walking past her. It was just so crazy to me. And then all of a sudden, like I asked to hang out. Now it's not an issue, but it's also not an opportunity. So in other words, I have to walk away with my self-respect. So yeah, this is where I realized that dating is really tough and confusing. And attraction is literally a certification to get your foot in the door with a woman. It absolutely means nothing. Like, I mean, nothing. All it is just feeding her an idea of seeing you and her as a couple. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it helps. It helps a lot, but it doesn't mean nothing if you don't get the job. It doesn't mean nothing if you don't get the date. If you think about it. But, after, all my rambling and talking, game is essentially, I want to throw this into, game is essentially sealing the deal, right? It's basically building that rapport and that connection within the woman that you find attractive. I'm not saying I don't have game, but I'm also saying that I'm not going to go out of my own way to waste my time with a person who don't even want to hang out with me in the first place. So it's like I'm already in that predicament where I'm trying to convince a woman that likes me, but only likes me for one reason only. So I have to jump through hoops in order to convince her to not, to make her think that I'm more than just an idea, or I'm a safe space to where she can talk to me. I've been told many times I overthink this and that, but if you think about it, it's like it's all confusing. And it only matters if you really like this woman that much. If you don't like that woman that much, you have to walk away. Because if you don't walk away, you're going to start to lose your mind and think to yourself, like, what is wrong with this person? Or what is wrong with me? This dating game is really stupid. But then again, women's language is a different form in it itself. And you can't be direct as a man. You have to speak their language in a way to where they can communicate, understand in their own way coming from you as a man. And that's what a lot of men struggle to find out. And the only way you're going to figure it out is if like you get into the dating game or the dating market and you see what works for you. Like I used to think I was a shy and a timid dude, introverted guy, but then I realized that I wasn't the problem. The problem was that I just didn't understand where I was at in the dating game or the dating market. Where I'm at currently right now is just the fact that I haven't even got a chance to have a date. So I don't even have a chance opportunity. I'm just being used up by women for entertainment. So I don't get to shine or get to prove myself that, I'm a good, catch or spouse. Not to say women are the problem, the issue. It's just that you just have to keep trying until a woman sees the value in you to where you can actually, show who you are as a person, show your intentions in a very healthy way where you can actually communicate. And, you know, watching, you know, dating, you know, game videos, PUA, all this like stuff that means nothing, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to go out there and get your own data. Everything that I'm telling you is not really any advice that, you know, seems very self-explanatory or common sense, because they like to overboard your mind with like game manipulation tactics and all this other like unnecessary things you need to know. What you really need to know is human nature, and are you feeling confused in the whole interaction? The moment you feel confused is the moment you have to walk away. And I know, men don't like to walk away because we get so attached to these women that don't care about us until they see the opportunity to walk away from them. And that is the only way how this woman is going to find me attractive. Like, my bad. This is the only way this woman is going to find me truly attractive. If I leave this job or she sees me with another woman and slowly realize that, oh, wow, this guy is actually who he say he is. And he's actually with a woman. I know, right? I know. Makes you just want to slam a table or kick down a door. I know. But hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys later.